Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Wednesday Night Live. We got an excellent show for you guys tonight. We got Joe from Barista Brew Co. Also joining us tonight is our good friend, Nick Orlando from Florida Smoke Free Association. Tim is going to bring us the latest news and advocacy. Also, we got our poll question of the week, which is a good one. So let's not waste any time and get this show started by me saying hello to my team, Brian, Tom, and Tim, and of course our two guests, Joe and Nick. Hello, guys.
Hey, guys.
What's up, everybody?
Hey guys.
Howdy.
What's up?
Howdy. Joe, since you are new to here, tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
I'm Joe. I'm the Global Sales Director from Barista Brew Co. Been with the company since the start of Vape of a Kind. We started about 6.5 years ago out of San Jose, California. Now currently in Washington State. That wonderful place.
I thought you were going to go, Joe. I thought you were going to say, "I'm Joe. I'm a Libra."
I would actually be a Leo, but yeah, I'm not going to go that route. Yeah, I've been with the company for a long time. I'd be the right hand. Wes is the owner, but we've been the faces of the company for a long time. So
excellent, and everybody knows our buddy Nick. I'm sorry, I was going to say Joe again.
Yeah.
Everybody knows Mr. Nick Orlando. Say hello, Nick.
Hello, everybody. Good to be here again. I don't know what we're talking about, but I'm ready to go.
We're talking about Tampa Bay football. No, I'm kidding.
No, that's the wrong man.
That's a totally different show.
We already talked about
No,
that. Can't take that again.
Yeah, we will not be talking about football tonight on this show. Tommy,
glad to be here.
Yeah,
Thank you.
we're glad you're here, and I hope you can shed some light on everything. And just like I was saying, I think there's just a lot of misinformed people out there. And I know things are changing real rapidly every day, but I know you know what's going on and you're up to date with everything. So I thought it'd be great to have you back on the show and help everybody get a better understanding what's going to be taking place at the end of March and April, I guess. Who knows, right? It could be one of those months. And we got Tom. Yeah, go ahead.
Days ago.
Yeah, it changes. It's hard to stay on top of. Tommy Boy, how is Tommy Boy doing?
Doing really well. It's warmed up here in Wisconsin. It's in the 40s. Enjoying life. Just messing around, having fun.
Having fun. That's it. Nothing new in your life.
Nope. Nothing even pissed me off this week.
Nothing pissed you off this week. That's amazing.
Nope.
That's amazing.
Hell must have frozen over.
Yeah, Wisconsin froze over. No one's leaving their home.
That was a couple weeks ago.
What's up, Christian? What's up, Willie?
Hi, chat.
And
What's up,
then
Bill?
we got that guy Brian there, one of 5 people that lives in North Dakota. Hello, Brian. How you doing, buddy?
Oh, not too bad. It's actually getting like the 50s now, so it's pretty awesome. You know, shorts and t-shirt weather. Pretty great.
You're right.
It's summertime in North Dakota.
Yeah, I can go outside and just basketball shorts and a t-shirt and bring out my garbage and all that stuff. Not a problem. Super nice out. Snow's melting is great.
Yeah, I'm gonna pass on all those things right there. At 50, I got long johns on, sweats, a couple t-shirts, a jacket, a sweatshirt, a scarf, and a couple other things on.
I haven't had to bring out my winter gear at all this year. It's pretty nice, actually.
That's because you haven't left that room in like 3.5 months.
Yeah, that's right.
I've been outside.
He's been outside to get the mail.
You know, I got to get food somewhere. I don't have this convenient food dudes like most people do. So
That's true.
Because there's only 5 people that live in your state.
right?
Convenient food dudes.
Food dudes.
Oh, go Brewers. I could tell you where the Brewers can go. And we got Tim. Tim, how is Tim doing tonight, man?
I'm recovering from a little bit of a mental breakdown this afternoon with a company that shall remain unnamed. I don't want to. That you guys got the backstage story. I think that was enough. I don't need to belabor our fans and friends and people who watch the show with my trials and tribulations. Beyond that, I'm doing really well. I've been adding to my LED collection, and that brings me peace in my life. So when you struggle with food, what's that thing? What do you call that? Like when you go and you just like buy a bunch of crap because you're depressed. What do they call
impulse buy?
Yeah,
Impulse buys.
Impulse buys. I believe they call it shopping therapy. Retail therapy. Retail therapy. That's what they call it. And I've been doing a lot of that. So I'm grounded again. So
Home Depot must love you.
Yeah.
I have never wanted
Or
to
Wish.
not. Yeah. Well, I did
Amazon.
I got one thing from Wish before, and it was free for $1. But I have never hated Home Depot and Lowe's so much this past week because I thought I had everything for my project. I was all ready to go, and then you realize, shit, I don't have the right extension cord. And have you ever been go to Home Depot sometime and I know what it was I needed. I needed they call them toggle somethings. I was hanging a TV. I was hanging
Toggle
a TV.
bolts.
Well, it's called. They're not toggle bolts. They're called toggle something.
toggler.
Yeah, they're
Hanger.
it's like a toggle hanger. Yeah, and so I was hanging a TV, and I had bought everything, and then I was like, I got a regular house like everybody else. Studs are 16 inches on center, and then I go to find the studs in the wall, and I'm like, son of a bitch, 18 on center, and my mount is not wide enough. It's only a 43-inch TV. This is not, some 80-inch screen. And so I'm like, crap, So I had to go back over to Home Depot to get the toggle thingamajiggers. And then I get all the way home, and I'm like, why is it that every extension cord that I own is like 300 feet long? Like, I don't need 300 feet of extension cord behind my wall because I put the wire behind the wall. So then I had to truck off to Lowe's because Home Depot doesn't have like an 8-foot extension cord. They only got like 15 industrial, whatever. You get it.
Extension cord.
You get it. You get it.
So you
Don't
can
get him
Are you
started.
dropping the extension cord in the wall to run the TV power?
Yes.
Yeah, but not the actual power end parts, just the wire itself. Just the actual cable part. The male and the female end are on this side of the wall. Does that make sense? Nick's going to tell me I'm getting ready to burn my house
He's not running
down.
the plug through the wall. He's running just the cord in the
They
wall.
got these things that you just you run an extension cord in the wall.
Yeah.
They're I don't know if you're using that.
No, so what I did was I have wall tucked cables before, typically like USB and like all the other extremities.
Yeah.
This time I'm not. It's an Android TV. It's nothing over the top. But at any rate, the only thing that I'm really running is power, and so I bought a kit. Like, I don't like the rectangular cable thingies. They got these round ones that you can get that are a lot cleaner. And so I had bought those, and I was just dropping the cable behind the wall.
Cool.
Yeah. Yep.
Call the girl from TikTok. She'll tell you how to use that Gorilla Glue to keep the TV up on the wall, Tim.
Yeah.
So you call your LED thing now a collection?
Yeah, it's his collection.
I don't know what you call my addiction.
So is
Yeah.
are there some more valuable than others type thing now? Like the older ones are more valuable, kind of like cards, old cards.
Yeah,
and stuff?
I bought a bunch of LEDs, Brian, and I left them in the box, and I put them on a shelf, and I figure, in about 35 years, they'll probably be worth $35 instead of
RGB
$25.
tan that Tim's going to get. The RGB tan that Tim's going to get from being in that room. He's going to get this just amazing glow. He's just going to look amazing. He's going to look like he's been in Florida, like Nick over there.
I'm going to look purple, red, and blue wherever I go.
So, yeah, I'm actually waiting for, like, he was talking about frustration on something earlier, and like I'm waiting for his LEDs to be hooked up to like his brain. So when he gets angry, they glow like red, and then when he's happy, they're like blue.
That'd be
hilarious.
awesome.
That's right. All right, let's talk vaping. Enough of my
All right,
pathetic, lamenting life.
We're going to start the show with Joe here. He's going to let a couple people know what's going on with Barista because there's all these things going around. Everybody's seeing this, reading this. So I said to myself, I'm going to bring the man in himself to the show and set it all straight so everybody can understand exactly what's going on. And Joe, it's all you.
Oh, it's all me. Okay, well, let's try this. So, Barista is gonna stay open. We are not going out of business. There has been a lot of talks. A lot of companies might go out of business, but that's not us. We've definitely submitted to the FDA, just waiting to hear back from them as far as PMTAs and everything else. We are still going to stay open. Unfortunately, because of the PACT Act, we are going to be forced to stop selling on our website direct to consumers. Not something I want to do. Obviously, that's not the overall, but we are going to continue to support shops. That's just the way it is. And just because of the way life has been the last 9 months, and us being home, it's probably good to go support brick and mortars more so now. So that's the unfortunate part for us. We want to stay relevant and continue to support shops. So if you know shops that are local to you guys that you want Barista Brew Co, let me know. Shoot me a DM.
Yeah.
Or get a hold of John or Mr. Smile King and tell him.
I don't know. Do I have a love for Barista because they were the first company to give me a shot, an opportunity to start taking pictures, and it was amazing. And they've been like family to me. Joe and Wes have been like family to me. And when I started getting DMs like, "Hey, they're going out of business. What's going on?" I'm like, "No, they're not. Read, people, please read your emails. Understand what you're reading. Don't read 3 lines and just assume, oh my God, Barista's going out of business."
I unfortunately sent an email to all our consumer base on our website saying, here's the PACT Act, here's what the information is. Our website is no longer going to be able to sell direct to consumers, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's good to stock up. Here's a discount code. Here's what it is. I didn't mean to scare anybody in any case. Obviously, everybody's a little scared and a little frightened of what might happen. And us not being in Zamplebox anymore is kind of a hit too.
Yeah.
But I definitely want to support shops and keep people afloat. We're just not going to go under. We've spent the money. We're doing our diligence, and we're going to continue. I can also probably speak for Silverback. Silverback e-liquids, they are also doing the same things we are, and 5 Star as well.
Yeah.
So if you have any, we all try and keep together, and all big businesses are trying to work together. Though we are direct competitors, everybody is trying to do this together.
Yeah. Have you noticed the same thing going on over there, Nick, in Florida with shops that are?
Oh, absolutely. It's going on everywhere. I mean, everybody's scared. Everybody's talking. You see all the chatter on social media. Some of it's half truth and the rest of it's bull, crap. And, the truth will come out in the end as to how everybody's navigating through this. But I can tell you the responsible manufacturers, the responsible businesses are doing the right thing. Not all of them are posting it up somewhere, but we're all doing what we have to stay going. And, the organization that I have the privilege to be vice president of here in Florida, the Florida Smoke-Free Association, we have a weekly call on Thursdays at 4 p.m. Eastern to discuss, and manufacturers are welcome to join and discuss on that as well. But we try to keep everybody in the loop with the truth. And as far as what we know, right? I mean, I don't think anybody out there knows exactly what's going on and when, but you can best guess at what's going on and kind of form your own opinion. And a lot of the things that I may discuss this evening is a lot of my opinion, and none of it, is counsel by any means. But a small disclaimer there, but it's the truth as best I know it. I mean, I'm not going to lead anybody down the wrong path. And if I don't know, I just don't know. And maybe somebody can enlighten me. But for the most part, we don't know what's going to happen. I mean, we don't know how, I get a lot of questions about the PMTAs. And right now, that's something that's still out there come September. There's a lot of people that are saying they've gotten approved and they're in, how many stages and all this stuff. that's not true. I mean, you can pull those reports and see. We do know that FedEx stopped shipping on March 1. That happened already. It's done.
That's
There's
done.
there's no guesswork. We do know by April, I believe 23rd, the final language will be out, and the majority of the rest of the shipping in the U.S. from the traditional ways and means will be done. I believe that. I also know that there's other people out there willing to do shipping, not these fly-by-nights industry individuals that just decided to open vape shipping and stuff like that. There's people that have been there for years, guys.
Yeah.
Use the ones that have been there for years. I know that there's a company out there, Demand Vape, that has an exception with FedEx. So they're still working, guys. There's no change. They just did it right. They spent the money. They got the counsel. They did it legally, and they got an exception from FedEx. So it can be done. You just need to know who, how, and when, and be prepared to spend the money to make it happen. And that's called responsible business. So if the rest fall because they're not doing responsible business, we've been waiting since 2016 for that to happen.
Yeah.
It's not a popular thing to say, but I could give a damn about half of these guys flying around by the seat of their pants doing it wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm just being real. I mean, as you know, vice president of an organization that's fighting our asses off every year, and have everybody else just kind of climb into our backpack and ride along and make money is starting to piss me off a little bit. So when the ball drops, you'll know who's responsible. Maybe we can get down to some responsible business, get some reasonable regulation, and carry on about our business. And that's what I'm waiting for. But you know, I don't know how deep you want me to go into this thing with the PACT Act. I want to make sure Joe has the opportunity to discuss it, all he has, but I don't want to break it up right now. And, you know, if you guys got anything.
Well, this show is for both of you too.
Yeah, in all honesty, Nick, I'm just kind of learning from you a little bit as well. I mean, I know that we filed for an exception with FedEx as well. It's still in the process. It's not easy to get, and it does cost a lot of money.
Yep.
But I know that I think it's April 27th is the last day with USPS, and I think our website is going to go down on April 20th just to make sure that we clear everything out.
Yeah.
Right.
UPS, I think will come back around, but that's a thought. It's not. It's an opinion. I think after probably May or June, you'll probably see USPS come back around and say, "Why are we losing money? FedEx is, doing this."
Right.
But those are all just opinions at that point. I just know from us that we want to be up to par, doing the right things, not selling to states that shouldn't be buying. I get a lot of emails about New York. New York is definitely not a state we sell to. It's just what it is. I'm sorry. It is what it is.
The logistics has got to be a nightmare for you guys. I mean, just trying to figure out, staying on top of states and cities that are banning stuff and trying to stay out. And so you don't have packages just getting lost or not getting to a customer and having customers upset because they didn't get their packages when
it's already happening. I mean,
it is.
You're getting brick and mortars that have that issue right now, that they're not getting their packages from some of these distros. So the right way to do it is to, as a distro or / manufacturer, is send everybody out the information in a format where you can get their EIN, their personal information, be able to set something aside to be able to track everything you ship to them. Because depending on which state they're in, there's tax. Florida doesn't have one, but other states have tax, and you have to pay that tax.
We currently are using HubSpot, and HubSpot seems to be working great for us.
You're solid. I mean, you have a platform, right? So a lot of people now, Joe, are reaching out and asking me, what should they do? And I don't get paid to be somebody's attorney. I do the Florida smoke-free thing for free.
The fact that they're reaching out now at the last minute, at the ball dropping, is a scary thought. And and unfortunately, that's what a lot of people here that are in this group need to really kind of think about. These are the people that are just trying to claim the money. I didn't get into this industry to make money. I got into this industry because I fell in love with it.
Right.
And that's just what it is.
Yep.
It saved my life. I had lung cancer at a very young when I found out that I started vaping. And I vaped through the whole lung cancer and all the treatments. That's just what it was.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people are still like I talked about it before. A lot of these companies and shops are still looking for these loopholes, and they need to realize those loopholes are getting smaller and smaller and smaller.
I'm so glad you brought that up. So I'm seeing companies come up with alternative forms of whatever, right? And the alternative products that are used in vapor products, as well as zero nicotine, and they're thinking they found the holy grail. Here's the thing. I would not, this is not the FDA. If you screw around with the ATF, there is no warning letter. These guys have guns, bulletproof vests, and you're going away for 3 years. There is no slap on the wrist. So I warn everybody that's thinking they have found this loophole or this golden nugget out there. This is the ATF. I would not screw around with the ATF.
No, you go straight to jail.
You go straight to jail, man.
It's just the way it is. I mean,
and that's why they gave it to them, because the FDA is so lax. It's like, whatever. ATF is going to get them, and it's going to be a scary sight. And it's only going to take, I'd say, within the first 30 days, you'll be hearing about some incarcerated people.
Yeah, because they're not going to hesitate to wait to make someone an example, and that's going to happen right off the bat. I'm sure they won't hesitate to make sure they get the message out that we are enforcing this, and
you
we're
guys, I come from law enforcement, and I've dealt with ATF in the past, and the ones that I've met do not screw around. They will get a hard on to bust your ass. Period.
Especially for something that's televised like vape.
Yeah,
especially.
It's low-hanging fruit in our industry. We've proven that year after year.
Yep. That
these guys are waiting for that day. They're waiting for the big bust. They're waiting for the day to come. And it will happen. It's just, who's it going to be? And it sucks to say it, but that's where we are now, guys. Our enforcement body is not the FDA anymore. It's the ATF.
Yeah. It's scary. It's a scary thought, and that's why I have a hard time telling people no. I'm not going to ship to. I'm going to use New York as a common answer, because I just can't. I can't break the law. I mean, that's our business. That's our bread and butter. For that one bottle of juice that's going to go to you in New York.
Yeah, and it seems like some
nicotine is not tobacco derived.
Was that Joe?
No, that was Nick.
Oh, that was Nick. What was that, Nick?
Joe, Nick.
Joe, Nick.
Bald head. It's the bald head.
I said, what about nicotine that's not derived from tobacco? Can we still ship that and everything's cool?
Well, that's the loophole that people are talking about.
Yeah,
it's
that's
synthetic
kind of
nicotine,
puff
not
bars
regular nicotine.
trying that angle.
Yeah, and the thing is, though, is it's still considered nicotine. It's still, the whole intent is still there, so it's still going to be covered. I'm pretty sure. Like, I'm 99.9% of that.
But Nick's right, though. This isn't really the FDA. I mean, they banned Puff Bar a while ago, and it's still on the market. It's still selling.
Yeah.
So the FDA is lax. The ATF is not going to screw around, and they're going to get you. And unfortunately, that's going to be the scary part.
Oh yeah, they'll stop a truck. They'll stop a truck right on the freeway, and
everybody gets out, gets shaken down, and handcuffed, and that's it. There is no little warning letter.
Yeah.
The ATF gives zero fucks.
Yeah.
I think to me that's like they do, and I think to me that's the most mind-blowing element of this whole thing, is that they're taking something like this and effectively equating it to, like, we're running decks of heroin, all around the country, like we just have cartel boats pulling up to the to the shoreline in Mexico, and we just got dudes with strapping backpacks of friggin' puff bars on their back, and seeing how far we can get. It blows my mind.
It's the age thing is all it boils down to, and we were classified as tobacco, so it's that the only reason shipping, it's not to do anything crazy. I mean, it's just who's on the other end receiving it.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to take the time to age verify, or nobody wants to go through the expense of doing it, right? If we were willing to do that, it would be fine. Just like a pack of cigarettes going through the mail to another person receiving it. That's all it boils down to, right? Is the age verification. And Tim, you're right. I made it sound like it was crazy, but I don't think they're going to be messing with people who are doing things legitimately, like doing what they're supposed to. And I don't want it to sound like that. I'm just saying that we have so many bad actors that it's low-hanging fruit and it's going to be easy, and they're going to take for granted what they've gotten from the FDA, this little gift since 8/8/16, and they're going to continue down the path of pretending they don't hear or pretending they don't see or pretending they don't whatever, but really they don't give a shit. They just want to make money, and they are going to get popped. It's long overdue, because our responsible manufacturers like Joe and his guys and everybody they're the ones suffering, right? And the brick and mortars that are trying to do things right, like ours, where we try to sell the products that are FDA compliant, marketing compliant, so on and so forth. And the guy next door, a couple of doors down, is selling whatever the hell he wants, mixing on site, dogs running around the shop, doing whatever the hell they want, and they're making more money than me, right? And I'm going to the state to fight to keep their doors open, and they're doing all the shit wrong. I'm volunteering my money, my time, and my business, and these guys are just making money, and the hell with it. That's the part that's long overdue.
I know there's going to be a black market. It's going to be out there, but do you see people actually going as far as copying labels and stuff like that?
They do that now. What are you talking about?
No, I know, but it might get more intense, I think, is what I'm saying. Because you can get a bottle of Barista now.
I don't think there's going to be a need to IP steal somebody's IP, because on a black market, you're not going to need it. It doesn't even have to have a label. So why are they going to go through the expense of doing it?
Why would they even bother?
Well, because it would be enhanced, because now it's something that you can't get your hands on. So if I can't get my hands on Barista Brew Co., and all of a sudden I see this guy on Fifth Avenue selling 60 ml bottles of salted caramel macchiato for $22 a bottle, you know what I mean? And I know I'm not sure if it's legit or not, but I can see stuff like that happening, because now there's a product that a lot of people aren't going to be able to get their hands on, whether or not the shop's not going to pick it up. Maybe a shop's not going to pick up Barista, and then some guy says, "Oh, I can print this fucking label." And I'm sorry if I'm thinking like a criminal right now, but just
they took that away, though. They took that option away when they gave it to the ATF, because they start seeing that on the street. It's not the FDA just going to drive by. These guys are actually in tune and ready to go with that kind of environment, right? So I think it's not so much them cloning your label or marketing. It's more, if the act is happening, they're going to stop, they're going to pull over, they're going to verify a business license. Why are you here? Permitting, blah, blah. And then once they find out it's tobacco products and you don't have a third-party age verification on hand on the street corner, you're done. They got it covered with the ATF, I think. I think that's not going to be an option.
And I agree with Nick. I mean, ATF is going to stop everything.
Yeah,
and they also require background checks from the manufacturers. So, I mean, if you don't pass a background check with your manufacturer, you're not going to be able to get approved for USPS. And I believe that's correct. Have you heard that, Nick?
What was that part? I'm sorry.
The ATF requires a background check for manufacturers. So, to ship USPS.
Yeah, you have to fill out the ATF registration form.
Wow.
Right. Yeah. So the distros manufacturers have to fill that out. The brick and mortars have to fill out the forms for taxation to the distros. There's a tracking format that
all the way through
into place.
Yep.
So, and Bill Tarling, man, I see he's in there a lot. He's talking a lot. And Bill's an amazing person. He's probably got a lot of stuff out on Vape Distortion Facebook page. He runs that, and the guy's amazing. I see him in the group. And Bill, how you doing? We appreciate you. I see you're writing some stuff. There will be versions, yes. Yeah. Huge bargain prices by people not realizing, and it won't be the consumer that gets in trouble.
Right.
It will be the person selling. The stickman sales they're the ones going to jail, buddy. But the tracking, John, is where the format is being laid now, right? The foundation for this enforcement. That's how you can tell they're getting serious. Whereas the FDA just kind of said on 8816, this is the deeming rules. But these guys are laying the foundation for enforcement. Because if you're not registered with somebody or the ATF, that's it. I mean, that's the way I see it. Again, not legal counsel, but
I imagine we'll probably see some stuff in the news over the next handful of months when people can't get what they need to get. I mean, fully well realizing they can go to a vape shop and potentially get the things that they want, even if it's a restriction on some of the flavors that they're used to being able to acquire easily. I'm just saying, I think a lot of people are going to start finding those sideways guys that are they're like, he's selling it to me for a little bit cheaper, but you don't really know where you're getting it from. And so I would just warn people, if you're going to take that route, check and double check and make sure you know who you're talking to or where you're getting it from is somebody that at least comes with some representation from other people going, oh yeah, he's legit, and you can trust the person that's telling you that. Because the last thing we want is stuff all over the news where hundreds of people are falling deathly ill because they're getting their hands on black market e-liquid that you have no idea what's inside of it other than trust that guy, So I think we're going to see some of that pop. I don't know that we're going to see, the video at 11 with the guys. I mean, maybe, but the guys doing the raid busts and stuff and doors getting kicked in and people with zip tie handcuffs on the ground. Because of course we already lost the show Cops, so I mean we're not gonna be able to see you on that show. But the point is I don't think we're gonna see that nearly as much as we'll start seeing things like, X number of people were admitted to this local hospital with EVALI type symptoms, and they're self-reporting they were vaping. Because now we're getting ready to go underground, like the weed market been underground for many, 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 many years. And while we have that duality of weed being more accepted and legalized, we still have problems with it. And that was case in point with the EVALI stuff that, happened last year.
Tim, to go back to one of your comments, the availability of the product, right? I think you're going to see a major cleansing of the industry. And I think people that are doing their business right, like Joe and Barista Brew, they're going to get recognized and appreciated and celebrated by the industry of responsible business owners. And they're going to get picked up. And their product will be offered in those more consistently from a global standpoint to these consumers to be introduced. Now, that also leads to the other thing where these shop owners, brick and mortars, need to be educating their consumer, whether they're smokers, vapors, or whatever, as to why they carry those products. We've been doing it for years. We carry these products because they're helping us in the fight. They're responsible, FDA registered. They have GCCs, all this stuff. And our consumers are now educated to be able to want that product that is now that responsible product, whether it's marketing, whether it's, the GCC, all that stuff. We've been bringing our consumers along with us, and they'll come in and ask for a product. And it's like, well, I don't carry them because of this, because of the marketing, the child appealing. This is what we fight for. I am the vice president. I go fight for this every year. These are the types of things. Our consumer has to be educated about that. And I think once we, as a group of shop owners, start speaking through why we do what we do, and the people like Joe do what they're supposed to do, and we pick them up, then it becomes one, collaborative effort as to why we're doing what we do.
Yeah, I honestly think this is a good thing, and we've always talked about this. It's going to purge the market, and you're going to see who's following direction and who's not. Right. We've always prided ourselves into actually taking action and doing the right things with the GCCs and not using labels that were going to appeal to kids. Kids are not supposed to drink coffee, plain and simple. We've never labeled our products anything that didn't say exactly what it is on the bottle.
Yeah.
That's always been a major thing. We never used candy flavors on top of that, so everything is a whole fruit flavor because we didn't want to appeal to kids. I honestly think that you guys, consumers, need to realize that prices are probably going to go up a little bit too, because now these shop owners are going to have to take on the cost. The distro is going to have to take on the cost of what it's going to cost to ship whoever we decide to use. Unfortunately, I think too many people out there right now are trying to take advantage of distros and everybody else, and coming up with shipping companies that don't need to exist, that are not going to be able to fulfill things. It really is kind of a bad scenario for everybody, and somebody's going to take advantage of that. It always is the case. It's always the case. We know that best. Nick knows that quite well. I can understand that one. That they always promise you big things and never fulfill anything.
Yeah,
that's always the case, especially in that one person that I'm thinking of right now. But we'll just go nameless.
Probably the same guy.
Oh, it is the same guy, absolutely. But I'm sorry, guys. I actually have to get off. I've got a conference call in about 10 minutes. I really do appreciate the platform. John, thank you for inviting me. Pleasure to meet all of you guys. Please DM me. And we're going to keep chugging away. Barista Brew Co is going to be on the platform for a very long time, or at least until we figure all this out.
Yeah.
We're not going anywhere. I can promise you that. We didn't put in all this effort, all this time to just fall off like everybody else. Yeah. So I really do appreciate the time, guys. Pleasure.
Thank you, Joe.
Everybody has a nice evening, please.
All right.
Thank you,
Joe. Everybody.
Great
meeting you.
Good meeting you, Joe. Take care.
You as well. Bye-bye.
We'll be talking soon.
All right, guys. Anybody got some questions for Mr. Nick before we start? Before Nick jumps into what he's going to be talking about, to help everyone kind of understand a little bit about what's going on. So,
go for it. I'm good.
Nick, the show is all yours. No, I'm just kidding.
Didn't we just cover this?
No. Hold on.
Where do you want to go?
I want you to go and
so
talk.
much.
I know we covered a lot, but I just wanted everyone to kind of understand exactly what's going on and with dates and what's going to be taking place.
Over the next, it started March 1, right? FedEx stopped shipping vape products. As we move through, we could get to April 23rd to 27th. The rest will have fallen to that mission. USPS, DHL, UPS, and as I said, FedEx is already there. There are ways to get exceptions, but you have to do your research as a manufacturer to find that, and some manufacturers will and already have, as well as distros. There are no guarantees, but you can file for an exception with the proper legal guidance and the proper format to be able to do that. We've already heard of one. One of our distros has already gotten an exception, and you heard Joe, he's already submitted for an exception. So that piece, then that again is business to business. Consumer-wise, there is no shipping until somebody comes up with a valid way to age verify at the moment of delivery. That's where they're having a problem right now, is who can do that, right? UPS doesn't want to do it. Postal's, USPS doesn't want to do it. FedEx doesn't want to do it. That's the whole thing. They just don't want to have their guy get out of the truck and age verify everywhere to consumers.
Do you think COVID had anything to do with that choice as well? Do you think COVID had something to do with that? I mean, because that seems like something the USPS is trying to use as an excuse now for their drivers, say they have 200 vape packages they have to deliver a day. That's 200 people that they have to hand that scanner to every time to get them to sign.
I don't think so, because technically they could just hold it there and, do a signature. They're doing it with other products, right? So
right.
They could also accept vape. Right. Wine of the month or whatever. But they know that
Adam and Eve
is a tobacco product, right? Do they make you do that, John?
Yeah, Adam and Eve will make you sign a package. Yeah, you're getting, adult products in there.
Really?
I'm sure they do.
Chad would know more than any of us.
I don't know.
This is John's other show that most of us don't watch.
I'm sure they are. You don't want some kid getting a hold of a dildo. I mean,
Well,
Can't kill 'em.
Well, I think, I mean, where the crux of the issue comes in too is that, FedEx and UPS offered some signature services that you could do online. So, for example, if you could go ahead and submit an electronic signature, so that your packages could get dropped off if there was a situation when they were come to your door and you had to be there to accept it on site. And I think a lot of people thought that maybe, that they would still move forward with that, but that's easily duped. I mean, you could talk anybody into submitting an electronic signature, even if you gave them some kind of secondary ID verification, like a copy of your driver's license or something like that. But then that just essentially wipes UPS's hands clean. They can just drop the box off and go, well, the addressee was age verified vis-a-vis electronic signature. And what I've been trying to explain to people in this whole entire process, and Nick, correct me if I'm wrong, because I think you almost basically just said it, is that companies can register for the PACT Act. And yes, there's a whole litany of things that come with doing that. And that's respectable. I mean, you got to go on record. You got to keep records. You got to pay these taxes that are related to it. But the problem is that when you get, barring USPS is out because they're federally controlled, right? So they passed a law, an omnibus bill that basically said, well, we control USPS. We can say what they can and can't do. UPS and FedEx are falling in line and following suit because, and this is just the truth about corporate America, is that they're largely driven by lawyers and policies and stuff, and the last thing they want is to get caught red-handed delivering something to someone and they got duped, because you'll have civil lawsuits, they'll have all kinds of legal agencies coming down on them, and they're going to end up becoming a stain. And their lawyers, I'm sure, looked at everything and said, well, yeah, we could age verify and probably a couple different ways, but they just don't want the backlash if something goes wrong. One kid gets his stuff from a UPS driver because mom wasn't home and the kid was the only one there and the package got dropped off. They're done. They're cooked, and they're going to look like the problem. So yeah, that's why they're following suit. It's not because they just flat out don't want to. They just don't want the
responsibility,
the legalities that follow it.
The liability, yeah, they don't want the liability on it.
Exactly.
It's a huge risk for a not so huge reward. Zach mentioned something while you were talking. Something about lube. Anyway, that's kind of where the industry started that way.
Yeah.
You just add nicotine
to lube.
Zach, that's what you're vaping. Flavored lube.
Yeah, flavored lube, and you're touching a what's the word I'm looking for?
My mind
an evolutional flashlight. That's what you're vaping.
John's gonna Google.
My mind just blew up. I didn't even think about it that way, Nick. Thanks.
That's what it is. I'm just telling you.
Yeah. Well, what was they were trying to name it?
Brian's checking it out. I see him. He's looking.
Yeah,
at
Brian's Googling. Brian's
gathering data. So I do have a question to Nick, because he's a little bit closer to the inside loop than a lot of us are, which is why, guys, it's hard for us to answer questions specifically addressing what Zamplebox is going to do. And I wanted to go back to Christian, because Christian had asked the question much earlier in the show, and how it was going to, or was it Christian that asked? There was Christian, it was you, yeah. Anyway, yeah. Long story short, how's this going to impact Zamplebox? And the reality is we can't comment on their behalf. Yeah. We don't actually work for Zamplebox. We represent them in a way, but we're not part of the corporate decisions. But my question to Nick is I had heard some conversations that some of the vape companies were trying to look at using vape shops as sort of like third-party fulfillment funnels, meaning rather than the vape shop buying products from the vape companies, you could potentially ship products to the vape store, and then it's kind of like you could go there and maybe pick your stuff up and maybe somehow subvert the markups that would happen in a standard, wholesaler to distributor purchasing process.
That is exactly what would be an FEI number that you would get from a firearms dealer where you order a firearm into a shop, correct?
Right. Yes.
So it would be, however, once the vape shop imposed the fee that it would take for the salespeople and the brick and mortar part of the bills, it would kind of be worthless to even try it, right?
Yeah.
Because there would be some, I mean, I don't think anybody would be like, well, yeah, ship it to me for free and I'll be your hub and pay the rent and not make a dime off of it,
Because I started thinking about this because I've spent a lot of time in logistics and operations. As a matter of fact, the large chunk of my career has been spent there. And so I started thinking about this, and I'm like, this isn't a loophole. This would be a solution, right? So, I mean, theoretically, you could see, because localized acquisition of those vape products is allowed, right? So, I mean, like I can go to a vape shop, I can go somewhere and get it as long as they can provide it. But I started thinking like, well, what if some of these vape online distributors kind of pooled their resources and maybe started looking at, and this would be a huge cost to business, but like creating like satellite distribution centers in other states, you couldn't do it everywhere. What I'm saying is like, you can go to Loudoun County, Virginia, and a square foot of, a building with square footage is going to cost you like an insane amount of money to have a small distribution location, but you could go somewhere like, Atlanta or North Dakota. I'm sure land is really cheap in North Dakota.
Throw North Dakota out there.
Yeah, and basically have like third-party localized distribution where the online vape companies could send it to their third-party fulfillment facility, which has like a pickup kind of thing, and then there you would have people on site that when you show up to pick up your order, you could do the age verification. They could keep customer records and things of that nature. So I'm just thinking of solutions.
So,
well,
there's ideas, Tim, that are already doing that with sub distros. So,
Sub-distros.
like I come from logistics as well. I did that for quite a while too. But my thought process is somebody like myself could open up a distro here, and I would be able to service, say, the shops here in Tampa Bay where they could just come and pick up their stuff. Well, with that, I could open up a counter service and just have available retail for consumers to come in that can't normally get it. So it's out there. People are talking about it. We thought about several, people in the that I know have been talking about it doing throughout Florida. So if we had little sub distros throughout, we could service the entire state,
right,
and ship in pallets. So it's definitely something that's being kicked around and talked about and thought about. And you still have that face-to-face interaction. You're able to check IDs, the whole deal, and you're available for shops, right? Mm-hmm. So as a warehouse here in Florida, we have a lot of shops. So just having a distribution center, regional, so to speak, sub-distro would be very beneficial for a lot of people if we covered north, south, east, west, and even down the middle.
All right.
Just ship in pallets. It's more cost effective that way, less overhead, and bring in a pallet of liquid, and just shops can come in, consumers come in, whatever. I'll check your IDs.
Is as far as freight? I mean, as far as truck freight. Now, I'm not talking about USPS or FedEx trucking, but I'm talking about the smaller freight companies. Are they also have anything that they have to do to be able to ship this product now, or is it open to them?
It's open, but they have to register as a tobacco a transporter. So we've got companies here, one that we're talking to now to service the entire state of Florida, and they're all about it. They currently do pharmaceuticals, been in the industry for 40 years, ready to go. And they said, we have the space. If you just want to ship us pallets, we'll take care of it.
Yeah.
They'll actually pack, pick, and ship,
Mm-hmm. Nice.
So other states probably have that. And the people that I'm dealing with are, board members of the logistics throughout the country, so they know people
Yeah.
that would be able to do that. It's the interstate piece that's really
Right.
the issue, because of the taxing in different states. Now, a big logistics company such as vapeshipping.com, they've got it down already.
Yeah.
People are forgetting about them. They've been around for years. This is nothing new.
Yeah.
So UPS and all them can drop. You still have vape shipping available, and they're ready to handle your business.
Right.
So it's not a real big issue. And these smaller companies, I say smaller, it's a pretty big company, is willing to pick up and just where everybody else left off and pick it up at a 20 to 30% less rate than what we're used to paying for shipping.
Retail me too.
That's Bernie. Yeah.
Bernie, that's Nick. And
That
yeah,
is
That's
don't
Nick
argue with
Orlando,
Nick.
Bernie.
Orlando.
Yeah.
What's he saying?
Yeah. I don't know who this guy is, but I'm not going to argue with him and smoke whatever he tells me.
Tells me to.
I think he's referring to the lube comment.
Yeah, he might be.
Don't vape lube. Don't
Nick-
vape lube.
Nick looks like a badass. He looks like somebody you don't mess around with on the street. If you saw Nick walking down the street, you step to the side a little bit. You don't walk into him. You don't bump into him.
Nick knows a couple of things about kneecaps. That's all I'm saying.
Ryan, what'd you find out on Google?
Yeah.
He is from the Bronx. He's originally from the Bronx. So no, because that's what I was wondering as far as the interstate freight, because most of those companies that we're talking about, like Swift and England and some of the bigger companies, I'm sure they're all set up for tobacco product as well. I was just kind of curious because I was wondering if they had to go through a different process, because a lot of those companies, a majority of them, because I've been in the trucking industry for 25 years, I know they're always looking for business. And it is an industry right now that is hurting as far as freight, as far as product. So this is an opportunity for a company, say like Swift or England or God, I'm trying to remember all the names off the top of my head right now. But
Roadway,
Roadways.
Estes.
Yeah.
We
There's a
could
lot
go
of
on. There's so many of them. It's retarded.
And I just wondering if people are trying to get them involved in this, because
The
let's
right
face
people
it.
are.
Yeah,
Right people are.
the right people are.
We tend to think about the big four. It's like, oh, we got to have them. There's so many other options out there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there is.
Don't put yourself in a box.
Yeah,
Do business.
yeah,
Yeah.
Just do business.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the whole challenge. Is, I mean, I mean, I know there's other options. I'm just saying, but when you think about small package type shipping, you think of the big four, because they're the ones that can one off, the onesie twosies, the couple bottles here, the mod here, the mod there. I mean, that's what I'm saying is that, while it's very looming in the sense that, you hear that they're shutting down. I mean, there's all kinds of shipping things, and that's what's trying to be sorted out, is how do we utilize those types of companies and leverage their services to get the products that you need into areas and zones that, where they then become acquirable for you.
Hey, you want to talk a little bit about the C stores, Nick?
Sure, but let me.
Yeah,
the
go ahead.
biggest thing about this whole process, right, is it hurts again our availability to get to the 40 million smokers that are out there, right? It hurts those rural people that are using our product or that haven't even been introduced to our product,
Right.
because there's not a shop there, or their buddy in Florida tells them about it and they're up in, somewhere in Arkansas or something. I don't know, wherever.
Yeah.
But they don't have a shop readily available for them. So that's who it hurts. And that's the biggest issue, right?
Yeah.
That's the biggest problem that I have with the whole thing is that consumer
Right.
cannot have the option without the availability to quit using combustible tobacco. So that's what hurts. As far as C stores, I mean, they're going to.
What's their play? What's their
They're going to
play
get
in
their
this?
product. They're going to continue to get their product. I mean, why wouldn't they? They're buying tobacco products to sell in the C store.
Yeah.
So they're already got that flow going. They're in process already. They most of the time are serviced by a company van or a panel van, driving to their store and dropping it off and shaking their hand and putting up marketing and giving out free stuff and saying thank you very much, have a good day, fixing up their gas pumps and all that crap. So, once again, they're a step ahead on that process.
Yeah, I think that's also something a lot of people. I know everyone's focusing on the e-juice, but it's also, let's not forget about the mods, the coils, the RDAs, and tanks. That's going to be another thing that you guys are going to have a hard time getting your hands on
Open
unless you're
systems.
open systems. Open systems.
That's where the issue comes in, right? The freedom of choice to step up or down in your product and step up or down in your nicotine level, have multiple flavors, those kinds of things where you're going to more of your closed system, and it's going to be tough for the consumer that's on this product now.
Truckloads of marijuana rolling down the highway in states. Yeah, I'm sure
that's acceptable. That's acceptable.
Yeah,
just not vape.
Not vape. Yeah, you can roll 20 trucks down Highway 5 all day, load it from front to back with marijuana, but if you got one bottle of juice in there, you're done.
I've been in state houses, man, listen to this stuff, and vape is the demon, right? And they're trying to pass laws on the hemp industry and crush the vape industry. It's the craziest thing. I sit there and just shake my head. It's like, what am I missing here? Tobacco harm reduction takes a back seat.
Yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with the medicinal side of hemp and the legalize and all that. I could care less. If you choose to, do it.
Yeah.
But the fact that I sit in these state houses and listen to these people try to figure out ways to pass or legalize that and take tobacco harm reduction and throw it to the side as a bad thing, is demonized. It just kills me.
Well, their thing is they're always throwing your face is, well, we've been doing this for over 100 years. And I get that. They have been literally fighting for probably since the existence of this country. I don't know when did they start banning marijuana? Probably, I don't know, early 1900s.
Right after the advancement of the peace pipe.
Yeah, advancement of Tim, you're muted, bro. You've never sounded better, though. You've never sounded better.
I've been working on that. I just look at the mirror and talk silently just to practice. No, I mean, doesn't the argument around the hemp industry and THC and all that? I mean, doesn't it kind of start with a bit of the same argument, right? It always starts out like, oh, it's horrible for you. You're gonna forget, your last name, and you're never gonna be able, it's going to rot your brain, and your brain cells are going to, frazzle and die. It's like growing up when I was younger, before I had even tried that stuff. I mean, that was kind of like the news on the street, is that it was just really going to cause some real serious physiological issues, that were detrimental to your development as a youth or whatever.
It's for madness.
Right. And then, so I kind of feel like that's where we are with vaping. It's like, that's the ad campaigns now, where they show these kids with like worms crawling through their faces and stuff. Like basically it's eating them alive, and they completely ignore a lot of people like us who've been vaping for, I mean, I can't claim a decade, but I mean, I'm just under it, and I'm like, we don't have any physiological issues. It's not like I'm completely forgetting who I am when I wake up in the morning, and I'm not like fiending for my next, my next strawberry, custard hit. I just, that's where I'm having the disconnect with a lot of the arguments. And I think, to me, that just speaks solely to propaganda. It's like, let's just hop stuff up. And I was having a conversation with a friend of mine last night, and I talk about this with them all the time. They don't vape. They have little kids, and they have their view on it and stuff like that. But I said, I was talking to them, and I was like, it's insane the way that they attack vaping the way that they do, and they use the kids as a scapegoat. And I was like, it's just they completely ignore any of the positivity around vaping. They go right to the jugular, and they can make any claim they want, negative wise. They can say it's horrible for you, it's going to kill you, whatever they want to say. They've said everything up to this point. But vapors we can't lay claim to any positive information about vaping.
We can if we have the money to put out those commercials, right? We got to get outside the bubble. And I was talking to John about this the other day, and I think Brian was there. We got to get outside that bubble, right? And we've done a decent job of it in the state, but we've got to get outside of our bubble of vapors and talking and doing, you know, what it's done for us and all that stuff, and get outside that bubble, start producing some commercials. But our industry doesn't want to contribute to those things, right? We as a whole, if we were to do something like that on a federal level, put up some billboards, do some commercials, you know, whatever, and put it out there that, hey, you know, Juul was doing it for a while.
Yeah,
with some of them old people on the TV, and, you know, responsible, respectful. They couldn't turn away and go, well, that's bull. There's an old person vaping a Juul. But they didn't call it vaping, right? So we need to get away from that terminology and get on with the tobacco harm reduction terminology, change a couple of things from our mindset, and communicate to the proper people. And I think outside of our bubble is where it needs to be. Yeah. Now, the state orgs and some people have been doing that on a regular basis, but it's not enough. And as soon as we get it and start putting money where it belongs like that, we had to do commercial here in Florida last year for that veto bill we had. Yeah. It was a fortune, but we had to get outside that bubble. We can't consistently communicate to our people because we already know what's up, right? We in the echo chamber. We just go round and round and bitch and complain about it and stomp our feet and blah, blah. It does no good. If we cannot get outside of that and start speaking to some people in a sensible, professional, respectful manner,
yeah,
as an industry, as people who choose this alternative, then we will never get anywhere. And we're slowly starting to get it, right? We've got some champions in DC. We've got some champions in states. We gain champions in our state all the time, but it's a matter of constantly beating that drum, and you cannot stop it.
Yeah.
It's huge when, you know, like our governor wrote that great letter when he vetoed the bill. The verbiage in there was amazing. It was everything that you hear from somebody who's been in the vape industry in a respectful, responsible manner about adult freedoms. And it went that way. It went, the tone of the message went that way. And you could tell that he understood it, did his own research, gets it. That's when you start making moves, right? So he's done that. Now every state can use that letter as a template and go to their governor, go to their legislators and use that letter.
Yeah.
We need to use the tools available to us and make sure we're communicating to those people. Not enough people are communicating to lawmakers, decision makers in their states. And until we can do that on every state level, and I'm talking about a lobbyist, it needs to be real life people. And it can always be a stakeholder. It needs to be some consumers, because stakeholders, they automatically turn you off.
They'll turn you away.
Lobbyists, they'll turn you off unless you got a check in your pocket. But if you're a consumer that goes in and talks to your local legislators, doesn't matter what side of the aisle they're on, who cares? This is not that kind of issue. You talk to those people and tell them the truth and say, look, this is what it's done for me. This is what it's done for my Aunt Sally, my Uncle George, my friend Bob, whatever. We're adults. You don't see us out on the street corner being disrespectful, but we're the people that walk into a shop, buy our product, go back home. In Florida, we've got a huge senior citizen market. My demographic is 40 to 80 years old.
Wow.
Those are the people that I get going in and speaking for us on local levels is, hey, you don't see me out on the street. You don't see me in a restaurant or movie theater blowing clouds in your face. I go to the shop, I buy the product, I go home and I use it. I use it like I used to use my cigarettes, but I don't use those anymore.
Right.
So, and I use strawberry custard. So, you know, those are the kind of things that need to happen. Until we get there, Tim, we're just going to keep yelling in the bucket, man.
Yeah. We've talked about that, just letting people understand it. I understand a lot of people are in situations like with Facebook and social media. They want to kind of keep that stuff out off their pages and stuff. And I understand that, because a lot of us, you know, like my page for a long, long time there, when I first started my Facebook page, I thought this is a great way to stay in touch with my family. And it was it. It was cousins, uncles, aunts, and everybody else. But now, my page is it's full of everyone. And it's, for me, that's a great way for me to share whether they want to listen to it or not. At least I got some of that word out, and they could see what's going on. And we talked about this. I mean, we need to, I hate saying it, but we need to take away that vaping part of it, and start letting people focus on the freedom part that's being taken away from people. And I think people need to realize that, because we're not going to win that battle against the non-smoker, because the non-smoker doesn't give a shit about the smoker, and he doesn't give a shit about the vapor. Go ahead, Nick.
Correct. However, two things. Number one, it was never this hard to smoke cigarettes, right?
No, it wasn't.
Two, the fact that you were mentioning, you have so many people on your Facebook thread, and they're not vapors or smokers, but I guess the truth is, that when they see what it's done for you, right? The reflection of where you were and where you are, kind of thing. It may be drastic, it may not. Each one of us has a different story. But when they see that, I mean, that speaks for itself. I mean, you don't really have to say a whole lot, except that's what you do. I mean,
yeah. I mean, to me, I've talked about this on my page before with a post that I wrote, and I was it was 8:00, and it was 7:30 in the morning. I'm standing in line at AM PM, and I'm right by the school. I just dropped off my grandson, and then there's the junior high is right there. Junior high. So it's 6th, 7th, and 8th grade here in California, and there were 4 kids in front of me, and all 4 of those kids were buying rock stars. So 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, you're between the ages of 11, 12, and 13, correct?
Yep.
That's about the age limit, right?
What's an AM PM?
It's a convenience store.
It's like Circle K or
Like Circle K.
7-Eleven or
Wow.
While they're probably paying for that, they're looking at a wall of cigarettes, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh, they have California, there's just a big wall of cigarettes. But every kid in that line had 2 rock stars or 2 Red Bulls or two cans of Starbucks double shot espressos. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, it's okay for these kids to buy 2 cans of this crap. That's, who knows what the hell's doing to their insides, but God forbid, if I go and buy myself some vape products, or I get to choose a flavored vape product, I can't have that because, but these kids can go into this friggin' store and buy 2 cans of fucking gasoline. Basically, that's what I call it, gasoline, to rev their engines up. But that's what pisses me off. And that's why I always try to bring up that freedom part of it, not the vaping part of it, because I want people to understand that this is a choice that the government is telling me that I can't have flavors because you as a parent are not responsible enough to know why your son or daughter is spending $120 a month on vape products. And you're not taking the time to find out how they're getting them, where they're getting them from at all. But you want to blame someone else, me, because you can't parent your children.
I got to go back again. You were mentioning things about people talking, and I was saying how it wasn't this hard to smoke cigarettes, right? The one thing that we need to remember is, big tobacco, when we're talking about things like this and talking about like you are about the choice and the freedom, big tobacco sells a lot of products. They also have a lot of money that they use for lobbying efforts. They threw $2 million away last year in Florida. Just real quick. I mean, that $2 million was gone in 2 seconds. They'll always have the money. We'll always have the voices. If we could get the money to fight like they do for tobacco against tobacco, we'll win, because the smoker doesn't go out and say, hey, I smoke and I've been smoking 50 years and it's the best thing ever. No, they'll never have that voice. So we'll have the vapor voice, and all we need is the funding to do the right thing on a federal level, and we're in.
Do you think, though, if we did get the funding, that the networks would say no?
No. because
Yeah.
networks need
Money's
money.
money. Money's money.
That's right. And look, the truth is out in the UK, right? You can't deny that it's happening.
Yeah.
They just don't want to accept it and hear it and be able to talk about it unless you grease their hands, right?
Right.
Grease their palms. That's the reality of it. If you give them money to do it, they'll be more than happy to put it out there. If you took all your major networks and said, "Hey guys, here's 30 million a piece," just say what's going on in the UK.
Yeah.
Put John on the TV and let him talk about it. You know,
I don't have the
They
HD
would do
face.
it.
I don't have the
Or Tim,
HD
or
face.
Brian or Tom, whoever. But
None of those
you know,
guys had the face. Maybe you, Nick.
you get on there and you just say it, and they would gladly take your 30 million bucks for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
I would like to say
This
I have a
is what
face
we
built
lack.
for radio.
You have a face for radio. That is true.
That's what we lack.
Yeah.
That money, the voices are there. We've got plenty of voices.
Yeah.
But we're in that echo chamber, and until we get financially funded properly, we as an industry, and then if you get somebody, you know, the other thing is everybody's cash grabbing. They got the next new organization taking money and doing the savior thing, and it's like, if we could all just come together and fund one thing and just make it happen, we're done.
Yeah, I think that's probably what some of the site got lost too, is that somewhere along the line, the whole process caused a lot of us to sort of eat our own. I guess maybe that's a horrible parallel, but what I mean is that you spend enough time in forums and groups and all that other stuff, you start to see the separation. It's like the long view got lost, where it's like, wait a second, guys, this is about a community. However, whatever medium you prefer, whether you like going to your local shop and supporting them, or your situation is more conducive to shopping online, or it's a price thing for you. I mean, whatever. It's like all of a sudden it's like two separate lines were drawn, and it was like, okay, now it's the shops battling the online community, and rather than focusing on the main goal, and that is keeping vaping accessible to people and potential people who are potentially could improve their health and their lives if they could get their hands on it. We're too busy fighting about, should we, the shops are going to win now, and the online, finally they lose. And I see these tobacco shops jumping on going, oh, we work hard to get these licenses so that we can sell these products and stuff like that. And the online business is just ruined. I'm like, you mean to tell me that the vaping element of your multi-pronged business is going to tank because vaping outweighs your sales for alcohol and tobacco? I mean, combustible cigarettes. Come on, bro. Don't lie to me. I mean, yeah, you probably have some customers coming in, and you know why you're mad about it is because your markup on that stuff is insane. And this is not a knock on the shops. I get why the shops mark things up. I'm not trashing the shops. I'm just saying we lost sight of the goal. We lost sight of what the objective is here, and we're too busy fighting with each other and blaming each other and saying they're at fault and they're at fault and they're at fault. And now we just become sitting ducks. They can just pick us off and just say, well, we'll just, and this. I had a conversation with a guy about, okay, here was my idea, and Nick, you can shoot me down if it was a bad idea, but the one thing that concerns me a lot with this is that there's a lot of people who vape that live in rural and or constricted areas where they don't have vape shops and things like that close to them, right? Because if that's going to be the channel, they don't have that. So they have to order online. Or they're an older person who can't get out and get around as easily and travel an hour and a half to a vape shop, even if they're willing to do it. So my idea was, why don't you go, and this is for rural people who just don't have the mechanisms, is go and talk to your local cash and carries and stuff like that, and talk to those managers, and they're a licensed tobacco reseller. Talk to them about maybe carrying a limited number or a few lines of juice that you would have an outlet so that you could go local and get it, because they can funnel for you, right? That's not illegal. It's just they don't do it because they don't know anything about it. Don't turn them into a vape shop, but just get some basics that, see if they're willing to carry some basics that they'd be willing to sell to you. And then this guy came back and said, why that's a horrible idea. Why are we going to go ahead and support the C stores? I mean, when they were the catalyst for why all this is ending anyways. And I was like, I'm like, look, well, A, you're missing my point. I didn't say go down to your local, Circle K or your QT and ask them to do it when I got a vape shop 5 minutes away. I'm just talking about the people that are remote. And I said, and furthermore, this is exactly what I'm talking about. I'm thinking the bigger picture, people who are going to be struggling to get their stuff. But in the end, I'm like, your argument holds no weight anyway. Because if you look at the data on where kids are getting their vape stuff, they're not getting them from the C stores. They're getting them through people that give them to them or people that are of age that can get it and hand it off to them. They're not buying online. But what are they're attacking the online industry first. Like that's where kids get it most. And that's not true. That the data just doesn't support it. But again, we fight. Let's just argue with each other and just let them pick us off like sitting ducks. They're fractured now. Now they're more vulnerable. We need to. Here's the church. Here's the steeple. Open the doors, and here's all the people. Okay.
Thank you for bringing back 6th grade for me there.
You're quite welcome. I'll be doing Clifford the Red Dog next week.
You'll be doing some shadows with your RGB lighting.
Maybe some Curious George. We'll see.
Shadows. Let's do some birds flying around.
But Nick, do you think that that's a viable plan for people who live remote? Is talk to your local cash and carries or your smaller like gas station attached stores and see if maybe they could help out a little bit?
I like it. The opportunities would be if they started seeing the dollars flow in with the margins, they'd go a little crazier, and then we'd have people selling products that don't know what the hell they're doing.
That's true.
They
And
couldn't
that's
properly
dangerous.
educate people. But
That's true.
for a drop ship type of thing, it would work great. My personal concern would be is the lack of education on that end. The cash grab would be increased, and the people wouldn't know what to do with the product. I mean, in most of these C stores that carry this stuff, they just hand it to them and down the road they go.
Right.
And some of our products, we need to know how to change a coil, fill it, those kind of things.
Yeah.
And not everybody likes to read. Most of the newbies, they're not going to sit down and read a book, right? A pack of smokes is a cigarette and a lighter. You got to come through the process, and the journey is part of the success, right? So I think we'd be missing the journey. But if it was going to solely, and I don't know how that would happen, be used as a drop point, that would be great. But the journey piece would be what we're lacking. And I think that's how we built our community. And that's what we're now missing in our community is that when we convert, the journey's not there. We used to have the journey where they'd come in and hang out and talk in our shops and kick ideas back and forth and flavors and those kind of things, the camaraderie, the community. We're missing that. And I think part of why we're missing it is we've got these C stores turned hybrid vape shops, and we're missing it. And the cultivation's not there either, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we used to convert a lot more than we do now, but the cultivation of our industry and the messaging behind our industry, we're lacking.
You're right.
That's what sucks. We're losing, we're not gaining. I shouldn't say we're losing. We're not gaining as much as we used to as an industry, converting people from combustible to a less harmful alternative.
Yeah, and I think unfortunately that's due to a lot of the ants propaganda that's been easily allowed to flow to the impressionable people who now have this impression that vaping is worse than smoking, and so people that are smoking that may have otherwise been someone who was open to the idea of trying it to get off of smoking, they're like, oh no, I read on the news where it's worse than smoking and stuff like that. And
the industry took a beating, right? We had Avali, then COVID, now this, PMTA, I mean, it's just one gut punch after another. It's up to the shops that we're talking about right now and those retailers in brick and mortar to be able to communicate and walk these people that they've been a part of their community and their family for a while through the process as to what's important, why it's important, and get them through it. Hopefully they're open enough to be able, like, if a gas station, C-store, whatever sells vape products, they've got e-liquid on the shelf and some devices, and somebody walks in and goes, "Hey man, I'm hearing about this PACT Act thing and PMTAs and all that." Do you think the kid behind the counter is going to be able to answer them?
No.
No.
So that's where we're losing them, right? So then they go, "Well, shit, just give me a pack of Marlboros,"
Right.
Yeah.
and it kind of sucks, man. But it's something that I struggle with all the time. Is how do we get back engaged to where we were in 2015, 16, and get our conversion rate back and start talking to people again? Because we've got that gag order with the marketing stuff since 8816, and
60.
it's just, and now with COVID, I can't have more than 10 people in my shop.
Yeah.
I used to have, like, my coffee bar would be full of people, and one of the Friday night, not last Friday, but the Friday before, I had a bar full of people. Like, I was like getting nervous about more than 10 people. I was like, oh my God, this is like not happened in a while. But everybody's sitting at the coffee bar, drinking coffee, vaping, hanging out. And we had the 70-year-old guy talking to the 23-year-old guy, and they're talking about vape and products and coils. And it was kind of cool to get that community feeling back again. Because where else do you get a 70-year-old guy and a 23-year-old guy or girl or whatever with a shared community, right? I mean, there's not a whole lot out there to share.
Even with a shared interest with that age.
Right. I mean, that's the part I used to love about it, is we could get every demographic in there, no matter what race, age, color, whatever. And they'd sit down and talk about vape. It would give them a break from everything.
Yeah.
Get a cup of coffee or, a latte, espresso, hang out and just talk about vaping.
Yeah. It took me a while when I first started, over 9 years ago, when I walked into that first vape shop. I felt uncomfortable a little bit there in the beginning, because at that time it was 18 and older. And, you had all this, young 18-year-old. Here I am, the guy in his mid-40s walking into a vape shop trying to learn the lingo, which was, was a whole new thing. It was just like, and just trying to get that, comfort that I was comfortable in there. But after I got comfortable, I was able to walk in there, sit down, pull the chart out, because the place that I did all the in-house juices. So, he'd give you a list and he'd have it right there.
Yeah, I used to do that.
It was great. But yeah, and I was able to sit down and talk to these guys and see what they were vaping, what they enjoyed, what kind of systems they were using. And even back then we didn't have the nonsense we have now, where there's a new mod every week that's coming out, but at least those guys could say, that was where I learned about making my own coils. I would have probably eventually have gotten there, but I don't think I would have learned that in there. And I was like,
why would you, right? I mean, we had guys making coils at the counter, or I had a build bar where I was drilling out Addy airflow holes, and I mean, we were doing our thing. People wanted more airflow in their little Kanger Pro tank, would drill out a little tiny drill, and just there it would go,
Yeah, well, when I walked in, they used to have this big long counter, and there was the register, and then it was just this big long counter, glass top with all the devices in there. And the kid was like 6 feet away, and the other kid was on the drill, and they were rapping, they were making a Clapton, and I was like sitting there going, what the hell are these fucking guys doing? And he's all telling them, slow down, go a little faster, slow down, go a little faster. And I'm like, what are you guys? It's coil. I go, what do you mean? You guys make coils in here too? He's like, we make coils. I go, and even, back then they weren't, it was a shop. So I think he was charging like $15 for 2 Clapton coils back then. But, it was just like those guys were telling me.
Man. Took some time. It was a craft.
Yeah. And he, when all I had to hear was, this coil will last a lot longer than that Kanger coil you're buying for that Pro tank. And I'm like, okay, how much longer? Oh, a lot longer. And I'm like, I'm sold.
Change the cotton. Here's a bag of cotton.
Change the cotton, go. Clean your coil and wick it, and you're ready to go. So yeah, I mean,
we started with EVODs, man. That was the first device we ever had, and it was one case, and that's all we had. And we just kind of grew with the products as they moved through, man. I mean, I think back, what a good time that was, man. It was such a
It was an easier time. I used to like walking in there and I got it was really nice because I would find certain juices, I'm sorry, e-liquids that I couldn't buy unless I ordered because they were East Coast companies. For some reason, I fell in love with East Coast companies e-liquids in the beginning. So I would take it in there. I said, "Hey, look, this is what I got." He would take it, put it on his finger, he'd lick it. He goes, "Give me about 10 minutes. I'll be right back." And he copied that juice to the perfection. I was just like, okay, I can
You
get
didn't
this.
care about the label, did you?
No, I
See?
wanted that flavor, dang it.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
And that mixologist, they didn't call him mixologist back then, but it was just some guy in the back room. I don't know what they called him back then, but he
That's what I used to spend my time doing when I got off
Yeah.
work. Let's sit at the shop and make juice flavors. Either
Yeah.
juice. You got me calling it juice. I never call it juice.
I can't stop. I mean these guys
Grocery store
laugh.
sells juice. We
Yeah.
don't make juice.
Oh geez, liquid.
Either. Hey, I gotta wrap it up though. I gotta have a follow up with today's day 2 of our session, and I gotta get with the lobbyist before he crashes. So
No
right
problem.
on, right on.
Hey, Nick, we want to thank you for coming on. We really appreciate it. You taking the time to kind of help us out and help some of our people in the Zamplebox community understand what's going on. And
I hope I provided some information for him, although I don't have a lot.
I think you did. I think we've noticed a lot. Myself, Tim, and Tom are admins on the Zamplebox page, so we see the questions just keep come floating in. It's just like some people are just like they just woke up today and they're like, "What do you mean I can't get my juice or liquid? Sorry, liquid." And it's just like, where have you been? And then they go and do this research, and then they come back, and we're noticing it's like, where are you getting this information from? Because it's just like, or unless they're just taking pieces of clickbait articles and just kind of piecing them together and coming up with their own scenarios. And it's just gotten to the point where we're like, we need to have somebody come on the show that knows what the hell they're talking about. So we really appreciate it. Yeah.
I know a little bit.
This much.
You know more
enough.
about it than I do.
You know enough.
Can you think of any questions that we didn't answer tonight that may help?
Yeah, I was going to ask the boys if they had some quick questions they want to throw at you.
No, I think I ran through every dendrite in my brain at the moment.
Brian's got
That's a great idea.
Everybody be quiet. Brian's going to speak.
Well, I don't right now. I know I've been trying to attend your stuff on Thursdays and try to listen in on your stuff that you guys, your open house and stuff. So I've been trying to listen in on as much of that stuff as possible too. So
Yeah.
no, I don't have a whole lot of questions really. To be honest.
Hold on, Brian. Hey, Nick, do you want to put that link? Can you type in a link for your show on the? Yeah,
They had the ever.
It's on the Florida Smoke Free Association Facebook page.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'll get it.
Everybody, you just click the link.
Brian, post the link.
Thank you, Thomas.
Tom, it's just an event.
Yeah, it's a great. Tom, do you have anything you want to throw out, Nick, before he goes?
No.
Do you want to ask him why they had the greatest quarterback in the NFL history playing for his team?
No, they don't. He's a bum.
You get the best
St. Monday to Wednesday
this year.
Yeah. No. Pretty much answered all the questions that were coming up in the lounge chat. Or in the lounge discussions.
Yeah,
I got nothing.
Yeah, Nick did a great job. You did a great job.
He always does. Nick's good people.
I got one quick question before you go. Do you have any idea what all this PACT Act and this other stuff, is it going to affect the DIY community in any way that you want to touch on before we step away?
It affects them too. I mean, it's simple.
It's simple.
As best I can gather right now, the way the language is, if the product is being used for a nicotine delivery or vaping, whether it's CBD, Delta 8, or any of that new stuff too, if it's vapable, it is now considered tobacco.
Mm-hmm.
prove me wrong. I hope somebody can, but I think that DIY is a thing of the past as well. And they're going to go, well, I can make candy with the flavors, and I can do
yeah.
Try your luck. I mean, I can't.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, because I think I'm not a lawyer, and just so you know, that disclaimer, I'm not sure you may not have an issue of getting PG and VG, but I think you're going to run into the issue where when you try to order some nicotine, you're not going to get it. And so just beware, everyone, because, that keeps popping up. DIY. It's like, well, guys, nicotine is nicotine. Whether it's in a 5-gallon bucket or it's in a 1-ounce bottle, it's still a nicotine, guy.
Yep, it's not about the flavors or the PG. What it comes down to is that you can still mix all that stuff together, but your problem is going to be the nicotine. Your problem is going to be getting that in. That's going to be your issue.
Hence the problem, tobacco-free nicotine.
Nicotine.
Yeah.
Tobacco-free
nicotine.
Nicotine. Yeah.
My take on it is try DIY. See what happens.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Bill.
Don't be surprised if the ATF show up knocking on your door.
Yeah.
Get on the ground.
Stay. Hands on the ground.
That leader of
wait.
got you 3 years. No.
Yeah.
Do you miss saying that, Nick? Nick, do you miss saying that? Do you miss saying that? Hands on the ground.
Say, hey, come here. Let's talk.
Yeah.
Let's talk.
Nick was
That
sick.
got me in trouble a few times. Hey, I just want to talk to you.
It works better. It works.
It does.
It always come over. Hey, what's up? Put your hand out.
Yeah.
And then Nick had the quick, let me shake your hand, and next thing you knew, you had cuffs on you.
Yeah.
I would never do that. We'd always talk through it, man. I was a good guy.
All right, Nick.
Nice guy.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Yeah.
We
Well,
got a good thing going. Me and my people.
Yeah. Well, you live in a good state too. So you live in Florida. You just have to deal with
I'll tell you, we'll go out to a restaurant and somebody's there that I have a past with that I've maybe put in handcuffs, and they'll thank me, give me hugs and kisses and appreciate me. And it's a great thing, because you never know. Law enforcement, man, you never know who you're going to run into and when. So you always have to be nice. Remember, you put your pants on one leg at a time. We're all people.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, again, Nick, I want to thank you for your time coming on here. We really appreciate you. You are the man.
I appreciate you guys.
Thank you, sir. Love
Y'all
having
are
you
doing
on.
the good work, man. Thank you so much.
Let's hear it for Nick, man.
Fight the good fight.
Yeah, we'll see you maybe next Monday.
Hopefully Thursday.
Thursday. Be there Thursday. I'll
4
be
p.m.
there.
Eastern.
4 Pacific, or no, 4
Wow.
Eastern.
Wow.
Okay.
That's 3,
Hooked
John.
on phonics. That's what we need.
No.
right
I
there.
always anytime
Sorry,
someone
Jim.
says a time, my mind goes straight to.
Just
Pacific
remember 1
Coast time.
o'clock, right after lunch,
Yeah.
and your nap, jump on.
There you
I'm
go.
like, nap.
Yeah.
He's just waking up at that time.
Shit, I'm up at
4 hours
4:30 in the
behind you.
morning. Yeah. All right, Nick. Thank you again, bud.
Thanks, buddy.
Good.
All
Thanks,
right,
Nick.
we'll see you soon, Nick.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right, bye. So I want to apologize really quick. It was Corey in the chat that had the question about what's going to happen to Zamplebox. I hope you caught my answer, Corey. If not, it's just really hard for us to talk on the subject because we don't represent the company, so we would be hard-pressed to misstate anything. If anyone is part of the Zamplebox family member lounge and you have questions about what the current status is, Anthony put out a message today. As a matter of fact, I think Zamplebox sent out an email to all their customers with the same verbiage.
Yeah. We will, just a heads up, we will have somebody from Zamplebox on here real soon on one of our next shows. And when they actually figure out exactly what's going on, until then, we're probably not going to hear much from a lot of companies. We're lucky to get Joe to come on. I mean, Tim, can you stop that? We're going to have somebody, it's hard getting companies to come on right now, guys. We'd love for them to come on and share their stories, but a lot of these guys are busy running around right now trying to figure out what's going on, and they don't want to hand out misinformation about, and just take, for instance, what happened with Barista Brew Co. Everybody thought they were going out of business. It's just, it is just really hard right now. But we will be having either Anthony or somebody from Zamplebox come on and kind of explain the whole situation of what they're going to be doing as soon as they know. So we are going to jump into news with Mr. Tim Swift.
Crikey! It's time for the news, mates. All right, so I only have one tonight. I could talk on a couple other ones that I did sidebar. Hey Tom, how you doing? I had a couple other sort of in the backpack, but we can talk on those if you want. I didn't really research them as cleanly as I've done other things. The one I wanted to talk on tonight, because really this whole show was pretty much about advocacy and what's the state of the industry and what's about to hit and all that. So I kind of feel like a little bit of the stuff that I pulled for this show tonight was a bit redundant. So I'm going to talk about this one. Let me share my screen.
Okay, so
Let me share my screen. It's really hard nowadays to find websites that don't have pop-ups and subscriptions and all the other where-to-fors that go with them. But this was one I thought was kind of relevant to talk about, simply because we're impacted by the PMTA quite a bit, right? Because everyone knows as of September last year, everybody who was selling vape products, anything that was ENDS related, needed to submit applications to the federal government and the FDA with regard to their PMTAs so that they could get through the acceptance and approval process to get these products out on the market permanently. However, when the Biden administration came in January, they basically put the whole entire process on hold, which left a lot of gray area open for a lot of things to take place. I think there was people were a little nervous because anything could happen. They basically what they wanted to do, there were some rules that were passed right before the exit of the last administration that were not published in the Federal Register. They were just kind of like some rules that were put out regarding the management of tobacco products, which encased the PMTA process, which was all very new to everyone at this point in time. However, now here we are a few months later, because the Biden administration put the PMTA process on hold for 90 days so that they could review those processes. So I wanted to talk about this one because they now have some rules finalized for the PMTA. And I love visual aids. There's a cute little happy picture.
Look at that setup.
Look at that MTL setup right there. I mean, that's a hell of a drip tip right there.
Bigger than the mod.
I'm a little bit more concerned about that e-liquid bottle that's in front of the cigarettes, because there's some nasty spooge at the top of that e-liquid bottle. I don't know if that was cleverly placed to gross everybody out, but looks
what's
like
kind
somebody.
of funny is I was going through my stuff here tonight.
Yeah.
I was looking for a different drip tip. I found an older drip tip like that long in my drawer.
Really? Did you? It's like
Yeah, I
14 inches long. You basically could leave the mod on the desk and stuff.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah. I think I remember looking at those and I'm like, why would I want a drip tip like that? Anyway, getting a little bit off topic here, but it looks like the guy who made that juice probably has been cleaning his ears with the bottle right before. So now that I've grossed everyone out, so basically 2 recently finalized rules were released to provide tobacco manufacturers with clear and additional information regarding what they need to get their products on the market. Now, for everyone who isn't quite sure about this, there are no new filings going on. Maybe there's an open period for filings in the future, but as of the vape products and things like that, everybody had a September 9th deadline, and if you didn't get it in before September 9th, you can't introduce any other new products to the market, but the PMTA process does allow you to keep your filed products on the market for up to a year. So this pause, I don't know if it created any change to the current status, because effectively everything was on hold. But they've now finalized 2 rules. You can go, if somebody puts the link to this article in the chat, you can go, and I think Bill just did.
Yeah, he did. did.
You can go here and you can click on this link that tells you basically what the final rules are, and that's the actual official site. This article does a nice job of kind of encapsulating everything. So basically, there's going to be two pathways available for people who market, sell, or are trying to get authorizations for their tobacco-related products. That would be two segments, right? So you're going to have the ends business or the vaping business or electronic nicotine, that's a new one, nicotine delivery systems. And then you've got your combustible tobaccos, your smokeless tobaccos, your cigars, your hookahs, and all that other stuff. There's a fracture in the pathway, right? Because they're different in their own descriptions, right? So as far as vaping goes, we have no precedence. We have nothing to compare it to, right? Basically, e-liquids, mods, coils, all that stuff is really sort of new to the PMTA process. Whereas things like combustible tobacco products, smokeless tobacco products, nicotine-free type cigarette stuff, hookah, all that stuff, that has sort of stuff that's already approved and out on the market. So for the vape industry, they're more than likely going to take the PMTA route, which is, and I'll read this really quickly just so people can kind of understand what it encapsulates. So the PMT pathway is the expected approval route for electronic nicotine delivery systems. Although it has been used for cigarettes and smokeless tobacco, under it, manufacturers have to provide scientific data, which is nothing that has a precedent right now, that demonstrate the product's risks and benefits to the entire population, which is what we can't even talk about right now. So not just the people who use it. So the final rule helps to ensure that the manufacturers submit enough information on product components, ingredients, additives, toxicology, and health impact for the FDA to complete a substantive product review. So that's really sort of like step 2 in the PMTA process for ENDS products. So basically, not only do they have to say what's in it, but then they also have to provide scientific data to state that it doesn't have a negative health impact on the public at large, which is going to be a tough one to climb through because that has to be backed up by scientific studies. And I know it's included in the PMTAs. All right, so there's that, right? That's the vaping community and the route all of our e-liquid manufacturers and mod manufacturers are having to take. For the established products, say cigarettes, smokeless tobacco, pouches, all that stuff, there are precedents that exist. And so they're going to take a pathway which is called the substantially equivalent pathway. And the substantially equivalent pathway, which I've mentioned all of these products as it were, the finalized, it just says that in the past, however, some companies haven't provided enough information on how a new product compares with a previously authorized one. So basically, they really kind of already have a leg to stand on. They can go, well, here's this new light version of this particular cigarette, and you can compare it to that one, which is already on the market. So they have it a little bit easier. So once again, tobacco in the combustible sense kind of wins because we know that they'll be able to push these other products. I would imagine included in that would be IQOS. Right, which is getting ready to be pushed heavily by the cigarette companies as a healthier alternative to smoking. And they basically can make whatever claims that they want. But they did get pre-market tobacco authorization acceptance and approval, so they can now market those products. And supposedly, given all of that, the FDA is also working on a separate rule for manufacturers seeking to submit modified or lower risk tobacco products for authorization. I'm not quite sure what that entails, unless someone here on the panel can enlighten me as to what a modified or lower risk tobacco product would be. Would that not be vaping? So I don't know if that opens the door for a different path for vaping products. It's an interesting one. There's nothing to say what this particular element is. However, beyond that, I think we're just basically stuck in the same time continuum that we're in right now. So my takeaway on this one was I just basically said nothing's really changed for vaping in terms of the PMTA. This effectively means that the rules are finalized and now published to the Federal Register, which they weren't before. So this is now the etched in stone verbiage. But we don't have any precedents. So there's nothing to compare vaping to say that we can get stuff onto the market faster because something was approved 5 years ago.
Right.
According to the FDA, any vaping product that's on the market right now is theoretically illegal. Just doesn't have FDA approval. But there's a lot of stuff out in the marketplace that doesn't have FDA approval, and is sold over the counter. So, I mean, that really doesn't mean a whole lot. But now they're going to use the word illegal. So now it's about legalities and taxations and approvals and all that. So we can hope and pray that something gets through. And if that happens, then it means a lot of other things will follow in line. So we just have to keep our hopes up and pray that people who submitted PMTAs get through the process. But I cut it short there. I did have one other article.
Hit us with it.
Well, I didn't really. I didn't really go into detail about it, but it was one that was kind of talked about a little bit earlier in the show, and I even made mention of it. Is how Puff Bar is trying to juke the system. So Puff Bars were basically they were told to remove their products from the vape market and for sale in stores. Although a lot of vape shops still carry this stuff, and I got no qualms with what works for you. If Puff Bars are your game, hey, I'm all for it. If it gets you off the stinkies, go for it. Spend the money on the Puff Bars. Me in the disposable market, I'm just not a fan because I'm like, that's just money you're throwing in the trash later. I'd rather have redundancy. But really what Puff Bar is doing is they're basically sticking it to the FDA and they're going, come and get us now because you haven't regulated this particular element of it. Right. And they're starting to now put synthetic nicotine into their products to beat the system. I imagine it's like with anything, right? I mean, forgive me if I'm wrong, but like a lot of stuff got sold in gas stations like bath salts, things like that, or the synthetic marijuanas and stuff like that were sold in stores. And because it wasn't currently regulated, or they didn't really know much about it to regulate it, stuff went on for a while. So this will probably continue. They'll have it out there for a while, but eventually the loopholes will close on this as well. And then we get trapped into it as well. So, e-liquid companies won't be able to use that loophole. Don't bank on loopholes to save us. So at any rate, I didn't really go into detail about it, so I don't want to comment on it. Maybe I'll bring this back next week with some details about it. Otherwise, I'd just be reading. It's not a very long article. No. Just basically states that that's how they're trying to do it. It says Puff Bar has a sleek USB stick shaped similar to the industry's leading electronic cigarette, Juul. But while Juul's device uses refill pods, Puff Bars are designed for a one-time use. But look at the cost associated with that, right? Because I mean, how long does the average Puff Bar last you? A day?
No, maybe? I didn't get a half a day out of mine. Remember, I posted that. I got a half a day out of that.
I do recall. And it said, it says right there, delivers between 200 and 800 puffs. Yeah. Now imagine somebody who's a chain vapor going whole hog on Puff Bars. You're going to be spending wicked more money than you would on just smoking, or going the cheaper route vis-a-vis vaping. So, there was that. So, I mean, that's out there. So people are going to ask that question. What about synthetic nicotine? See what the future holds. I don't think it's going to have any leg up on anything. It'll survive for a little while.
Yeah, they'll find a way to go around it. They'll go after that as well.
Sure, they'll shut it all down because they're listening. They're paying attention to what we're doing.
Yep.
And then my advocacy I can't even say that word anymore.
Advocacy.
I'm so self-conscious with the word advocacy. I feel like I say it. I feel like I've been drinking for like a half an hour. Like I slam like 3 beers when I say that word. News and advocacy.
Hey, Tim. Tim, welcome to my world.
I mean, it really is a struggle. Like I had to I did a promo for the show, which eventually that'll come out.
Yep, it'll be out next week.
And I had to do that video like 14 times because I was just all the other content was totally fine. When I got to that word advocacy, I was like, man, I feel like I'm just mush mouthing this word.
Yeah.
So I had to redo it, and I even had to slow myself down. I'm like, join me for a little news and advocacy.
Advocacy.
Yeah, I had to go into like a time warp mode so I could say the word correctly. But the advocacy article, hold on, ignore the corner.
We're waiting for that guy below you to actually take a picture of him fucking self and do a quick video of himself so I can put
Yeah,
the video
like maybe don't spend as much time looking for drip tips that are antiquated and not used anymore. And well, he's using it tonight, kids, because he saw the picture.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, he's like, I'm never going to use this again. Put it back in the box, and then he had an excuse now, so he's using it.
He'll use it tonight. Put it in his friggin' cleaner, clean it out, put it back in the box.
I mean, I think I do like the nostalgia element to it, Brian. It makes you look like you're puffing on a pipe or something like that.
Right.
Like, it makes you look like
Makes you feel
very
classy.
yeah. You look debonair. You're like.
Right.
But
Now if I can find my little pipe looking like a mod, and then
I wanted one of those for the longest
and then
freaking
put
time.
that drip tip on it, I can sit here out like this with it.
I wanted one of the Sherlock Holmes friggin' deals, like the pipe, but they like in England, like they got like the really long, like fancy friggin' drip tip, like.
Right,
you could do all that fun stuff, MTL
when I see those long drip tips, my mind goes. I don't know if I get the decade right, but I'm thinking the 20s. Was it the ladies that would put that tip?
Oh yeah, like the super long like filter on their cigarettes.
Yeah, am I right on the decade? Like 20s?
Yeah, it had to have been like the Roaring 20s or 30s or something like that. It was. What is that? Oh, I have one, but it's in black. It's like a black metal one. Those are cool. I'm like, I gotta be cool and get a skull drip tip.
Skull.
Yeah.
I want to vape out of the skull.
This and Bill posted the link to the article in the chat.
Yes.
This is just basically a follow up on the California referendum, where they basically went out and gathered like over 1 million signatures to basically retract the law that was passed January 1st of this year. But they got the support they were looking for. So I still challenge people to say that, petitions don't mean anything. They hold no weight. This one was different in the sense that you had the tobacco companies as part of the signature gathering campaign, because the law in California that was being passed was essentially a flavor ban on things like menthol cigarettes and other things that you could get in C-stores. And so the tobacco companies' revenue was being compromised. So that's why they kind of stood up. But vaping got wrapped into it. So now, come 2022, I believe it is, come 2022, it'll come up for vote on the ballot. So now it's been pushed back to the residents of California to decide whether or not there's a flavor ban in California. So that's that. I didn't go into detail, so I'm not going to comment deeply on those things. That is the tiniest drip tip I have ever seen. Wait, is that a 510 adapter?
What is that? Oh,
it's
that's
like a 510 adapter.
It's an adapter. What are you showing us adapters for? You're muted.
It's one of those ego adapters that you can't find.
That's right.
Yeah, the ego adapter. Yeah.
That and the beauty rings that we all love so much.
Got a really ugly one.
Many.
The conical beauty ring.
I was one of those nuts that spent like $25 for Stabwood fucking beauty rings, and I got a whole drawer full of them. Dude.
Yeah.
I don't even use them anymore.
That's when you have that inner conversation like, I thought they told me vaping was going to be cheaper than smoking.
It's cheaper. Goddamn Stabwood. That's what got me. Stabwood got me for a while there. I didn't go deep into the Stabwood mods, but anything like doors or beauty rings or Stabwood drip tips, I went nuts for those things. And they weren't cheap. They weren't cheap at all. And they were hard to get because you literally had to be on the site, right when they were getting ready to put them out and buy them. We are going to jump into the poll question of the week, guys. Let me pull that up here. Share screen. I will share my screen. And I wanted to put this question out there because I know a lot of people that are out there helping everyone to get started. And I think it's going to be more important today and in the future now with what was going on as far as helping that new person get started. And the poll question this week was have you helped a smoker off the stinkies with a mod and supplies needed to get started? And I was really happy to see that no didn't get there was a couple that I had to change it. I couldn't figure out, I couldn't go yes and no. I had to at least go not had the opportunity yet, but always looking, because I think there's a lot of us that, you know, may not have a lot of people around them and or don't have a lot of smokers around them, or they're the only ones that smoke. So I put it in there, and on the Zamplebox page, we got 37 votes for yes, they have helped people, and 7 that had not had the opportunity yet to, but always looking. And I think that's great. And a lot of guys touched on another part of that, which I didn't really think about, is the DIY part of it, which I didn't think about it. You know, people helping other people learn how to DIY as far as e-liquids, and I thought that was kind of a cool thing. Maybe we'll do something like that next on our next poll, is just to kind of see how that works out with people. Over at Barista, they had 5 yeses, and Vapin Fagan's page, Mr. Mark Fagan, we had 16 yeses with no nos, and none for not having an opportunity. And I know this panel here, everyone here has done it. And I know Tim has let go of some of his prized possessions and e-liquids. And I know Tim and Tom and Brian. I know Brian has. Brian has gotten rid of a lot of stuff, but I wanted to ask you guys, as far as what I wanted to know, the process that you went through, Tim, when you gave somebody something. What did you break it all down for them, or that you didn't just hand it to them and say, "Here you go"? So I wanted to get your process.
Well, no, my process. I mean, I've always been openly, willingly, available to help somebody understand what it is and talk to them about that. The majority of my results were tethered to people actually going out and buying their own stuff. But my process really for kind of letting things go on is this, that standard kind of conversation. Like, yeah, my friend, he's really desperate to quit smoking and wants to try vaping. They don't know where to start. And I usually channel it. And it's not usually a direct thing with that person. It'll be like through someone that I know, is a vapor, but they don't have the mechanism to have free stuff laying around they can just hand out. So if it happens to be something that maybe that person isn't familiar with, I'll just say, well, I have this small little system I had for a little while, worked great for me, but I just graduated and moved to the next thing. It's kind of an ego style setup, and here's the tank and all. You just break it down for them, tell them what's involved. Usually I'm lucky in that sense, because it's being passed down through someone who already kind of understands vaping. So it's not, I'm not really struggling to have to be like, oh my God, a noob. No,
I don't want to build you coils. I don't want to build you coils.
No, but what I also will do too is, this isn't about handing stuff over to people, but I'm willing to work with anybody who's like, wants to learn about another element of vaping.
Right.
Like what do you have? What's that? And then you're like, well, here's how, so I go, and they'll buy an RDA and they'll buy some coils, and if I'm close enough, or I'll do it over chat or whatever.
Yeah.
Help them install some coils, things of that nature.
How about you, Tom? How'd you go about it?
I've done everything from handing off old systems and showing people how they work.
You made coils. I've seen you make coils. Yeah.
I've made people coils. I've bought people setups because they would tell me what they want it to do, color, and I'm like, all right, I got you. And they'd pay me back, and I'd show them when it showed up. I would either take it to them and be like, all right, this is what you do. Or, they'd be here, and I'd be like, take it apart, show them how it works, walk them through the first fill up, just normal stuff like that.
Do you talk about e-liquids as far
Mhm.
as milligrams and stuff like
Mhm.
that? How to get started? And I think we all, probably all of us. Do you still? How many of us still have like 18 milligrams laying around? None. You don't have any 18 laying
No.
around.
That
60.
was a silent no, but now a verbal no.
Highest I got is
No.
12,
12. 12
I've
still
got
good. 12 still a good starter. 12s are still a good starter.
but 12 is even becoming harder and harder to find.
Yeah, 12s, 12
I
and 18.
almost bought some 12 milligram not long ago because I had heard people were kind of, but then hit that vape or hit that juice or whatever, they kind of might kind
Yeah.
of fold it a little.
Yeah.
well, the smokeless smoking. They have 11 milligram.
11. Yeah. And how successful have you been, Tom? Do you kind of have an idea? You've been pretty successful. And you too, Tim. I'll ask you, and then we'll go to
About
Brian.
50-50.
50-50.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't really have like the rousing sort of success story. It just kind of disappears into the void, and I just kind of cross my fingers and hope that it, it solved that, it got that person settled,
Yeah. Yeah. And Mr. Brian, what is your
I've
process?
So I treat it slightly differently than kind of most, because what I do is I always try to kind of be like the training wheels for the person and be with them until like I know that they're good to go and kind of let them off on their own. So like I try to, like, if I convert somebody or like have, or somebody tries going from smoking to like vapor products, I try to, the first few days I'll send a message wherever and like see how things are going, because there's always questions within the first few days. And then like I usually touch base once a week, and then I keep going with that and see how everything's going, and kind of ask them, see where the bottle is and stuff like that, so I can kind of judge how much they're using. And then from there I kind of slowly start to like wean off. I try to get them from like 24-18 down to 12, and then from 12 go down to 6 and try to work their way through that and see how them see how their stuff is going. I'm kind of meticulous about it because I want to make sure that they're successful on it. And for me to have that insurance is helping people continuously until I know that they're good.
How excited are you when that person that you started into vaping all of a sudden says, "Hey, I want to make coils. I want an RDA." That's like that. It's that level for me. It's just like, yes, I feel like that's the point where I finally converted that person. Is that how you guys are?
No. Yes and no. So like with that, what I try to do is I try to go with the paces. Try to go with like the Eco style, and then go up to like another mouth along device, and then from there do a lower ohm, like 4 ohm, 6 ohm, direct lung, and then from there step up to your higher wattage a little bit, and then from there you can go into the rebuildables, because from there I'm pretty sure that they've got enough devices where they can tinker and still use at the same time. Because if you go from say like a pod mod to like a rebuildable, like what I was doing earlier with this guy, you can get the section with the RBA section on it.
Yeah.
So you pop it off and you can build it. But then if you need nick, you have to take the other one off, put the other one on, and then it stops everything in its tracks. So having something else to use works out pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me the part that I kind of get kind of jazzed about is when you have like a moderate vapor, or like a middle of the road kind of person, like they've been vaping for a little while and they kind of already worked their way up. They started with like the pod mods or something like that, and now they're into like a Vupu or like a drag or something like that, and a sub ohm tank. And I mean, no knock on that, because I mean we've all been there. But I mean, I get kind of excited when you get an opportunity to try to convince somebody to maybe take the next step and get into rebuildables and stuff like that. Not solely for the aspect that I think that it'll really truly advance their vaping journey, but more or less the idea that it's just a totally different experience, and with it comes the advantages of saving money down the road too, right? Because I mean, you can go and you don't have to buy like a really nice set of like $15 coils. You can buy a cheap little all-in-one kit that has a bunch of coils, like 48. You're talking pennies. Then and then get some cotton and a rebuildable RDA. You do right, management on your device with cleaning your coils and things like that. Cotton is cheap. You're going to make one set of coils last you months, compared to
Yeah.
throwing away a disposable coil in 3 to 7 days and then having to turn around and drop another 12 to $15 on another 5 coils that you're just going to repeat that process when
Yeah.
I'm still rocking on one set of coils for
Yeah.
months.
Now, see, for me, I consider it a success, and I get excited when they tell me it's been 3 weeks or how many other weeks that they use since I've had a cigarette. I
Yeah.
could care less if they ever go down into the rebuildable rabbit hole. As if they're not smoking, that's a success, plain and simple.
Well, like for me, like the best success things I've seen is when I've helped somebody get out of smoking, and when I worked in the shop, and they would come in, and there's somebody else that was brand new, and they would share their experience with that person on how enjoyable it was to change over from one to the other, and having a customer say that versus me, an employee, say that, it's completely different. And then they're showing them like, hey, this helped me. I use this juice. I like this. And then that's pretty awesome to see, like other customers who are still kind of fresh and brand new, helping other customers out. That's pretty awesome to see, actually.
Yeah. And for me, I always get that. I always get that excitement because from what I've noticed, I've given a lot of mods away and a lot of tanks and RDAs. What I've noticed for me, and it might be different for you guys, is when that person says, "I want to start making coils." To me, that always seems like they beat the habit. To me, it's like I'm done with cigarettes, but they've learned this new thing. They want to jump into it, and it's not even for saving money. It's just they see this. There's this other way of vaping that's going to help them stay off the stinkies. So for me, I've noticed that once that person has gotten to that rebuildable part, they have gone over the hump. I don't think I don't think I've seen that anybody that I've given a mod to that has gone into the RBA part of it, rebuildable part of it, has gone back to smoking. Now, some of the people that have stuck with sub-ohm tanks or AIOs that I've given them, those people seem to still be doing, still vaping, still smoking, going back and forth. But I've noticed for me, once they made that transition to rebuildables, it seems like those individuals have never gone back.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool.
It is definitely a graduation at that point.
Yeah, once you get to that point, I think you're pretty much done. For me, it was a big part for me learning to build because at nighttime, like we all had our hard parts and during the day, and for me, it was always first thing in the morning and then late at night. And it seemed like even though I had my vape on my desk late at night, I still had that urge. But it seemed like once I started making coils, and I filled mason jars up with coils. I just kept making coils, and I just throw them in there, and I would save them.
Yeah, I will admit, for me, I did sort of have a bit of a reversion, but it was just basically sold out of laziness. Like I was building and install, I was making basic coils, but I was doing, RDAs and a lot of that stuff. And then I got to this one point where I'm just like, man, I don't feel like doing this crap all the time or whatever. And then I just I got a couple sub-ohm tanks and was buying replaceable coils all the time. I did that for a handful of months, and I'm like, screw this. I'm going back to because I just got tired of coils tasting nasty and not being able to do anything about it. And I'm like, I'm done. I'm done with this. So yeah, I do. By the way, follow up on the swag. It's the real deal. Well, I'm just going to say it's the real deal, kids. I mean, if you want a nice little compact single 18650, the setup is nice. It vapes really good. The flavor on it is nice. I'm rocking the .03 ohm coil in it right now. I think it's
hold it up closer to the camera, Tim, so everybody can see.
All right. So here,
all
right, that's fine. I just don't have the nice.
You're
focus.
good. It's
Okay.
perfect. It's
right,
nice
cool.
and clear.
So it's a single 18650 mod. It's got a 4 mil tank on it. It's magnetic, refillable from the bottom. Your coils are press fit right up through the center. The nice part about the tank itself is that if you have a full tank of juice and you need to replace your coil or whatever reason, I'm not going to do it now. I mean, I guess I could demo it, but you push down on the drip tip and the coil will then kind of protrude out of the bottom. You pull it out and you can swap your coil. So that's a really nice feature. What I like about it is you see how the screen's kind of stealth behind the carbon fiber panel.
Stealth.
Yeah, it's kind of it's hard to see. It's a little bright for the camera, but
That's
yeah,
good.
once it goes dark on you, you won't be able to see it. And they come in several different colors. They're small, portable. You could pocket this really easily. There you go. Hold on here. I'll turn it back around. Boom.
So
there,
nice. It doesn't even look like it's there.
Yeah, screen's gone, and it'll only come back, if I press the button. But I believe that you can turn the screen off and go flat stealth on it if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
but it's nice aesthetic. It's the third one in the swag line. Highly recommended. Get you one before you can't.
Go get it.
Get you one. Get your swag on.
I had a sound effects for that one, but I don't have it. Where is it? I had to just do it. Just do it. There it is. Just do it.
You need a swagger sound effect. He's got swag.
Right. Well, we come to that point in time of the show where we're going to do a little bit of goodbyes, and we're going to start with Mr. Tom, Mr. Wisconsin, Mr. Tom. It's all you. Say goodbyes. Do your thing.
What? I just got back. Leaving already?
Did you wash your hands? That is.
I did.
That
They
is the
smell
question
fantastic.
we needed to know. Did you wash your hands? All right.
For 20 seconds.
20. Did you sing the birthday song?
No.
Oh, you didn't sing the birthday song?
No.
Well, you're supposed to sing it twice, right?
I counted in my head.
Oh, you can't. You can do that without using your fingers?
Oh, luckily I had 10 of them out, so I just went through them once, and then I was like, shit, I lost count, so I had to start over.
I'm just kidding. Go ahead, Tommy.
All right. Thanks to our guests, Joe and Nick.
And he froze. See, the internet knew you didn't wash your hands. That's what happens.
This is what happens when you let Tom talk.
Go ahead, Tom.
Peter's like, no.
Tom, you may start over, Tom. You may start
Okay.
over.
Thanks to our guests, Joe and Nick. It's always a learning experience when Nick is around.
Yes.
Thanks to everybody in chat for keeping the chat moving. And I'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Thank you, Tom. You're a good man. Brian, it's all yours, brother.
Just want to thank everyone for watching. I love being in the chat and chit-chatting with people and taking crap when it's needed. It's always appreciated. Yeah, I got no problems with that. And yeah, I just want to thank everyone tuning in the show and see you next week.
Yeah, Tom. I'm sorry,
I'm
Brian.
Brian, John.
Hi, my name's Tom Powers, and I'm from West Dakota. I mean, echoing what everybody said, really, really nice to have the Barista Brew representation on the show. We've never had them on the show. Really great juice. My favorite is the salted caramel macchiato. Best coffee vape I've ever had, hands down. Yes. And I've had lots of them. I want to really thank the people in chat who keep everything lively and are part of our community here, because this is a community-based show. So I appreciate everyone who chimes in every week and the new viewers that come in, and we try to answer your questions. So keep them coming. I know we have an email address. If you've got any follow-ups, you can email us. I don't know it off the top of my head. You can share it. Did I lose you guys again?
No, you're there.
No, okay, good. Okay, I don't see.
What?
I live in this.
I can't hear you.
I live in this time. Don't even start with me, Brian. Don't make me yell. Don't make me yell so that you can hear me. No, really, I appreciate everybody for being here, and we'll do this again next week. And keep positive. Fight the good fight.
Yeah, baby. That's right. We'll be back next week. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight in the chat. I want to thank Joe and Nick for coming on. I want to thank that guy right there to the top right, Brian, for answering all the hardware questions in there. I'm sorry, guys. I'd love to answer those, but I'm trying to do as much as I can in the background here with the chat and all the other stuff. So I appreciate Brian taking care of all that stuff. Tim's trying to do vape tricks over there, and we can't hear you, Tim. We can't hear you. But yeah, thanks to Joe and Nick. We appreciate having Nick come on and helping us better understand what's going on. I know there's a lot of misinformation that's out there, and it's good to have somebody that knows what's going on And just like Nick says, it's changing every day, guys. So we're going to do our best on this show and on our Twitter account to try to keep track of everything that's going on. So if you guys want to follow us on our Twitter, Twitter is show. At Show Wednesday. Tim runs the Twitter account, so go give him hell in there. He's always there. He'll take care of you.
Retweet me, man. Retweet me.
Retweet that.
Retweet
SOB.
me.
Yeah. If you got questions for the show or topics for the show or anything you want to hear us do on the show, you can always go to our Twitter account. Let Tim know. Email us. Let us know. If you want to be a member spotlight, let us know. I'm going to go ahead and let you guys know that next week we will have a representative from Loaded E-Liquids will be with us next week. I got confirmation on that. So he'll be on. They're going to share their story with us and let us know how they're doing. We'd love to have some more member spotlights. So you guys, if you want to come on the show, and you can do a pre-recording too, because I have a new program, I guess, with StreamYard now, so where I can share a video file. So if you guys are a little scared or embarrassed to be live, you can always send those videos to us and we will upload them and play them for you guys. We love to hear your guys' stories. That's what this show is about, is hearing your stories. So share those with us, share this with the community. And anybody that's new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button, hit that little bell for the notifications anytime new content is uploaded. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see everybody next Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time right here on the Zamplebox YouTube channel.
Like, subscribe, and notification bell.
Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. I have a bumper for that one, and we'll play it next week. All right, guys.
Awesome.
Yes, thank you again, everybody, and we'll see everybody next Wednesday.